Hello, my name is Marlene Weisenbeck. I'm a Franciscan sister of Perpetual Adoration and the convener of the La Crosse Task Force to End Modern Slavery. As the second largest criminal activity in the world, we encounter human trafficking wherever we are, globally and locally. As you view these stories, I ask you to gaze upon the person. Consider the burden that she or he is carrying. Contemplate each situation, and then imitate others who are helping to move them out toward healing and wholeness. Gaze. Rest your eyes on what you see and hear. Experience this visual evidence of persons who are captured and terrorized through the strategies that brought them into the life of modern slavery. Though your eyes and thoughts may be drawn elsewhere, bring them back to the person that is the focus of each story. Consider. Allow your mind to study and understand the horrific situations that brought these individuals into their captivity. Consider the humiliation to which victims are submitted. Deepen your knowledge of the events that made them vulnerable to recruitment into this life. Do you sense a challenge or a call? Contemplate. Be present to what you see and hear. Listen with your inner senses to the meaning of the story. Listen to the cries of the enslaved without judgment. Then embrace an unceasing prayer for all those involved and all those who work to bring freedom to those in this underground economy of evil. Finally, imitate. All prayer moves us toward making efforts to create relationships of wholeness worthy of our God-given human dignity. Join in some way with others in bringing hope and freedom to the suffering world. Thank you.
Could you describe for us a little bit about what did your childhood look like?
Well, I had a happy home, raised Catholic on a little farm in a little town in northern Minnesota, and I was liked by everybody. And all that, I guess. So.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yep, I was number 3 out of 6, and there was one of those girl, one just older than me.
Okay, and you had both a mother and father?
Yep.
In the home?
Yep, my mom's still alive, and my dad passed away about 10 years ago.
Okay. Okay, and you grew up in a northern Minnesota town?
Yep.
Okay, so during your childhood, was there an event or any certain situation that occurred that made you more, what would I want to say, made you more interested in sex, or were you, did you have a lot of girlfriends growing up? Did your parents talk to you about sex? Did your father view a lot of pornography?
Okay, well, I know that my whole life, knowing my dad, he did not have pornography at home or at work.
Okay.
And he worked at a pretty wild place. He just didn't, it wasn't part of his life. His birds and bees advice to me was, if you're going to be parking, make sure that the wind blows the exhaust from the car away from you so you don't die. That was what I was taught. What I experienced was horrible, horrific. The worst you could imagine was being sexually abused for about 3 years.
You were sexually abused?
Yes. Yes. So that, and actually up until I was probably 45 or 50 and had gotten professional counseling, I didn't know good sex from bad sex, right sex from wrong sex. You know, it was like I was hardwired wrong from the beginning.
How old were you when you were first sexually abused?
About 11 to just about 13, or yeah, 13. So
11 to 13.
Mhm. Yeah.
You encountered sexual abuse yourself.
Yeah.
So, did you tell anybody when that happened, or did you keep it to yourself?
Kept it to myself. It was a little bit difficult because, you know, if I was on my bike and wherever I was at ended and I had to ride my bike home, well, then I would get, because of this being abused, I would get home late. Well, I would get punished for getting home late. So to me, it was like I was getting punished for doing stuff I didn't even know I was supposed to be doing.
Double punish.
Right.
It was horrible.
Rather than asking me where you were, it was punish me for not being home on time, you know, or diligently. And so that was a little bit kind of rough, but.
And those were during your growing up years.
Right, that's when
puberty.
Right, that's when, and I know they have songs about it, but how can something so wrong feel so right? Well, for a little boy, it whacks you out.
Right, you get confused feelings.
Right.
Did you know of any other little boys that were going through the abuse, or as far as you know, it was just you?
Yeah.
It was just you?
And I didn't even
know that it was abuse?
I mean, I didn't know it was abuse, and it wasn't talked about. It wasn't that, those subjects weren't talked about.
Sure. So you kind of kept it to yourself, what was happening?
Right. I know at one time I had bleeding when I went to the bathroom, number 1 and number 2, and I was taken to the hospital, and I know that I was put under anesthesia, and when I recovered, I was told that I must have got hit hard playing, but I know that was not, and I know people knew then, and that's what I just shut down.
So that was a big,
Yeah.
that should have been a wake-up call to physicians,
Physicians,
to your
parents,
parents.
and I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but they had no idea what to do, and so nothing was good enough.
Ever done or said about that?
Right, and yeah, I did have lots of girlfriends. I mean, because I think sex was instilled into my brain, and so all of a sudden, when the perpetrator had groomed another boy, then I get kicked out to the curb. Well, then where do I go for sex? You know.
Oh, okay, sure.
So so I was looking for girlfriends, at a young age in high school or whatever, never without a girlfriend. And I know now that in high school I had gotten a reputation for being all hands.
Okay.
So.
Sure. Sure. Now, were you, at that same time when the abuse was going on, were there other factors that may have played into your sexuality? For instance, were you watching porn flicks or pornography, nothing like that? Going to strip clubs?
No. I mean, that was too long ago. And in a small town, I mean, we hardly had TV.
Sure.
And I was a worker bee. I just buried my head in the sand and went to work.
Okay.
From an early age, like 14 or 15, all I wanted to do was work.
Okay, yeah, you've got a very good work ethic. You've helped us at Breaking Free many times with different events. So, did somebody encourage you to purchase a woman because of their experience, or when was the first time? What was going through your head regarding getting involved with purchasing women?
The first time, let's see, I was 19.
Okay.
Okay. This was purchasing, not boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right.
Stuff. I moved to the city, had an apartment of my own, and believe it or not, must have been a long time ago, but there was a building like 2 blocks down the road from me, and that's what they did there, you know?
Like a brothel.
Yeah, actually, I can't remember what it was called. The Red Door or something. It was in Richfield.
Okay.
And I just, one night decided, well, let's see what that action is, you know? And so I walked down there. I mean, I'm not ugly, and I had money.
Right.
And I was in the city. I could have went and looked for a girlfriend, but maybe it was just being lazy, or maybe it was just being because I didn't know, didn't care, I just wanted sex.
Could it be that maybe it was a taboo, so it was exciting, or
No, because I didn't have trouble finding excitement. You know, I mean, I wasn't a boring person. I had a cool Harley. I had a fancy car, and I could get girls. So I think it was just curiosity, or just that I wanted sex and didn't care where it was coming from, and I had the money to just go do it.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
I think it was just more of just, I didn't care. It was like, okay, it's time for sex.
Sure, sure. And at that time, when you were at the brothel and you were with the different girls, did you think that the prostitution was a choice? Did you think what was going through your mind?
Oh, back then, all I thought was that was just what they did.
Sure.
Like, I didn't know to what degree, how damaging or how, I don't know. I didn't know the depth of prostitution at all then.
So, and you didn't even think about it. You
Didn't,
just
didn't
thought
think about it. Didn't care.
this is a
just-
business transaction.
It'd be cheaper to have a girlfriend, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was just, and did you have any other friends or guys from business or anyone you played sports with or something that was also doing the same thing?
You know, I don't think any of my friends did it.
Just you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were not pressure.
Yeah, right.
And how old, you were 19?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you were with a woman in prostitution versus a girlfriend, let's say, was this about having them do things that girlfriends wouldn't do, or not
No.
really? Would
No.
you ask them to do something that you wouldn't ask a girlfriend to do?
No, I was my dating and sex life and sex during marriage and sex with prostitutes, I was pretty much reckless abandon. You know, it was like, it didn't matter who I was with, you know. It just, I don't know.
It just was?
Yeah, it just was, yeah. At that moment, you're not a wife, you're not a prostitute, you're not a girlfriend, you're just...
Fulfilling a need.
Right, that had been instilled in me at a young age to just keep that need alive.
So as a young boy, that sex was normal and it was okay, and then the abuse happened, and then you had plenty of girlfriends, you had a great work ethic, so you had money, you had things, but you were still damaged from the emotional abuse
Right.
of being abused.
Right. It was craving that. It was craving that. Whatever connection in my brain you know, whether it be, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just,
The
you
release
needed
of
that
peace.
that need met.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever have feelings or have like a girlfriend experience when you were with some of the women that were involved in prostitution? Did you ever get close to any of the women and have like relationships with them, or like regulars?
Um,
Was that common, or?
I think it's something I eventually evolved into striving for, was something more stable.
A relationship?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know there was one instance that saw this girl a few times, and it was, I don't know, it was all right. But she just disappeared, so I have no idea.
Okay.
Jail or dead or no idea,
Sure.
just gone. And then there was the person you know that I know, and her and I had a bond of not boyfriend girlfriend, but a bond. For some reason, we knew we both needed help, and it was like we found each other to help each other. And like I told her one time, I said, you know, I think God's work here was put together by Satan. You know, because I called her, you know, and we never did it. She gave my money back.
Okay, so you're friends.
Yeah, right. We were friends from that moment. Within 5 minutes of knowing her, she impressed me that she was smart, and we hit it off and we talked, and we've done a lot of things, and I don't know, I got to know her family, and I've seen the unrepairable damages that, you know, that she has endured, and her kids have endured, and her parents have endured. That I could never be a part of encouraging that or paying for it.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Let me ask you a question. What would you like to say to young men, boys, let's say, you know, around that same age that are sexualized, that are coming out, you know, 11, 12, 13-year-old? What would you like to say to them so that they don't fall into an unhealthy trap of abuse and or...
They need to respect women and other human beings with 100% sensitivity, non-judgmental, just like you would want someone to respect and treat yourself. Is if I don't know, you need to respect the human being as a human being, and you don't know her life or her pimp's life or her family's life until you walk in their shoes, and how hard it must be to be a prostitute.
Let me ask you, do you think it's a choice?
I think everything we do, I do, everybody does, is a choice. But I feel most of the prostitutes, there might be 1% or something that have just decided to do it. Maybe not, I don't know. But it's a choice that was coerced or forced or tricked or whatever them into making the wrong choice. And then it was done again. And then if the girl is lucky, she survives and has nice clothes and cars. And then, you know, everybody says, well, after a year of doing it and you don't like it, well, make a choice of getting out of it. Can't do it because she's already missed education, she's got felonies, she's got sexual diseases, brain damage or scars, physical scars. She can't get a job, probably doesn't have a driver's license to go get a job.
Stockholm Syndrome, she relies on her pimp. So, one last thing. Can you tell us something that you would want us to know about you? Who you are, who you've always been.
I'm a softie, and I 100%, and I've done this since second grade, is I fight for the underdog. The guy, the person that is getting picked on or can't make it is going to be helped. The person that is picking on or hurting other people is going to be confronted. That's just the way I am. And it's got me physically hurt a few times. I think that's how our mutual friend, I think that's what I saw was, man, I'm in a position to help this person, you know, and it seemed like she was in a position to be helped, and I needed help at that time. I was just into my heavy nightmares and remembering my childhood, and we helped each other.
Very good.
And I know the date of her last trick.
Okay.
That's how much I care.